I think you should hear this.
I had someone go, a mate Jack, we're pretty close up here. He's like, you start every conversation smiling. Like, I don't know if it's awkward or uncomfortable. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm uncomfortable.
Should we frown?
In front of it, sitting in front of a microphone, going, you know, there's all the who the fuck yous and the internal speak. But he's like, oh, you got to, like, if we're having a serious podcast, you need to start it seriously.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I do get it because I know it's the I'm uncomfortable smile.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. I never picked that up off you since I met you. You always had positive emotion to start. So
yeah, I think I was like, oh, well, it's good to smile, but I was like, yeah, it makes sense. You don't see TV presenting on. All right, it is what it is. Oh well, let's do it. Welcome to I Think You Should Hear This, a podcast exploring people's journeys of growth, adversity, and self-discovery. Today, I have the privilege of being in the home of Adam Drake.
Hey.
If you don't know who he is, by the end of this, you will. He's an absolute legend, a hero of mine. I'm glad we could finally meet the other week, and now I'm very stoked to be able to have this conversation. So, Adam, thanks for
Mate, we've got the dreadlocks in common. It was so funny when I seen you. Yeah, I've seen your pictures and all that stuff, but it's like we could be family. Like we literally could be. That's kind of cool.
Well, I tell people I'm catching up with this bloke. They're like, who? And I'm like, this guy. And they're like, oh, is it because of the dreads? Is it because of tats? I'm like, no, but it does help.
Yeah, well, it's funny, you know, I actually think that the dreads and the tats over the years have been such a good connector. You know, I was just saying to you before, they sometimes hold your story and then it allows people to sort of tap into your story, which is pretty cool.
I think for me, it's a great way to teach people to not judge by the way they look. You know, when I tell people like, yeah, I've got a finance degree and I work at the bank, they're like, you're kidding.
Yeah.
And then it opens an even broader story of how you get to where you are. And
Well, years ago, yeah, very quickly, I was doing a gig with a big company in Melbourne at the Sofitel, and, you know, looking at me at that point in my life with the dreadlocks and the whole bit, I shouldn't have been allowed in the Sofitel. And this woman walked up to me and she looked me up and down and she goes, excuse me, what are you doing here? So I'm actually running the next session. She goes, oh, we must have changed our hiring policy. And I'm like, get real. And like, so the first thing I said when I got up there was, don't ever judge a book by its cover. And she's just sitting there going, beetroot in the middle of the workshop. But it's classic, bro.
yeah, I get the same. Not as much in Darwin. It's a less judgmental place. In Melbourne, lots of old ladies coming and looking at her and, you know, but it's a good conversation.
And in the jails over the years, like with the work we do in the jails, lots of kids are so tactile, they'll just want to play with your dreadlocks. So sometimes I just stand behind you and you're having this conversation and the kid's playing with your hair. And a lot of the jewels and things I've actually got in my dreadlocks come from young people who said, please don't forget me. Can you put this in your dreadlocks?
Yeah,
and
right.
so it's almost a library now of memories and young people that I worked with, which I kind of...
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't had that yet, but now I'll cherish that when the opportunity presents itself. So as the podcast is, it's talking about people's journeys of adversity, growth, self-discovery. And you're a man who's doing great things now, but you obviously came to that point. There was a starting point and adversity's faced. And I want to hear about your journey. Who's Adam Drake?
Yeah, so we can go miles back if you want. But
go from wherever you're comfortable starting.
Mum and Dad used to run a place in Montrose down in Victoria. And it was called Montrose House. And it was attached to a church called Truth and Liberation Concern. And they basically looked after street kids, people who had just been on tough times. I remember some people had death threats out on them and the whole bit. Mum and Dad would protect them in these cottages and I was introduced to them as my big brothers and my big sisters. Mum and Dad would start taking me into Win Leighton, which was the female prison down there for the young girls, and then Tirana, which was the men's prison. And so the ministry that my mum and dad were doing in these places, I just went, wow, that's precious. Like I could just see the impact that they had just by loving people. And so that, I reckon, planted a seed. I went to Mount Evelyn Christian School in Victoria. They just happened to teach us Walpri in year 10. And take us to Yuendamu, the middle of Australia.
Walpri.
So Walpri is the language for, out there out in the Aranda country. And so Yuendamu is this community just north of Alice Springs. And so here I am in year 10 going to this community. And who would have thought, 25 years later, I'm moving to Tennant Creek. I'm working with the community. the skin name I was given back then, which is Jabbanunka, still holds and is what they call out on the footy field when I was playing footy in Tennant Creek. And you go, oh, wow, this doesn't happen by accident. So there's a whole bunch of seeds that got planted there. Then moved up to the Gold Coast. Mum and Dad took me up to Burleigh Heads in the Gold Coast, and I went to Emmanuel College. But I got lost at high school. I had no idea. I loved sport too much, and I kind of got distracted, didn't do that well. Ended up trying to do a business degree, no good. Education, no good. BA with a double theatre major because I fell in love with theatre and performance because my lecturer took me to Numbinbar Correctional Centre and ran a workshop where he got the prisoners to close their eyes and imagine themselves on a hot air balloon going over the fence to freedom. And I went, this is powerful. And so there's another seed. And then I started working with Queensland Theatre Company, Queensland Arts Council, touring shows, and went, man, they get us to do all this stuff where we go and work in community, but you're there for 2 weeks and then you leave. It's kind of like a false hope. I think I've got to move to one of these places. So the two places I was weighing up was Arakoon, North Queensland, or Tennant Creek. And I moved to Tennant Creek. Mum and Dad moved out with me. My fiance moved out with me. We had a baby out there, my darling daughter Martina. But Mum and Dad left. My partner left with my daughter, and I would have left me too back then, brother. Like I was struggling with grog big time. And they all left for different reasons. And I still tell the story about how my dog one day ran under the fence and left too. And I just went, wow, everyone's left me. And I hit such a low time there in Tennant Creek. I thought it was over. Like I was mixing alcohol with diazepam, so like Valium, and just trying to be okay. And I wasn't okay. And it was actually my old man dragged me off a couch while I was in Tennant and said, come on, son, come up to Wagite Beach here in Darwin, sit on the beach and try to work out what's going on. And so after lots of struggles, and it didn't get much better, Mum and Dad went over to America. I trashed their house, drank all their alcohol, got a welfare check. The police came round. I think I've been to hospital. I couldn't check medical records, but so many times for alcohol poisoning. And there is a tree. Actually, it's funny. We sit here in Cullen Bay, which is where my little apartment is. There's a tree about 200 metres from here that we could walk to. And it's actually where I spent a couple of nights because I'd basically ruined my relationship with my parents, and I was meant to go to Arakoon, and I went under a tree here and basically lived rough. And I had 2 bottles of wine in that bag. And basically, I'd let everyone down in my life. I'd burnt all the bridges. And I thought that was it. Like, I thought I was just going to be the homeless guy. I remember walking down Mitchell Street and a bloke looking at me and looking at my dreadlocks. And I still had grass in my hair from sleeping that night. And he goes, man, you look cool, eh? And I just went, far out. How did I get here? Like, how did it get this bad? But, yeah, then it started to turn, mate, because I started a program called Balanced Choice, and I still wasn't well when I started it, using theatre, fitness and hope and going into Donda. And I always say those kids loved me before I liked me. And that was it, bro. Like that's when those kids pointed me towards my goodness, I'll never forget it. And to this day, I'm thankful for every kid that ever loved me and did a push-up with me. And 12 years later, geez, what a journey, eh?
Huge.
Yeah.
What made you, how did you get from that moment of Mitchell Street to Dondale? Because you don't just walk up and go, oh, yep, I'm walking in and starting Balanced Choice. What were the steps that got you there?
Almost.
No, because a lot of people you're watching gone, they might be at that moment at Mitchell Street and they're thinking, how the hell do I drag myself out of this? And I think you'd be a great person to show.
Yeah, so I think the start of it, like there's so many people to be thankful for along the way. My sister came up and actually got me into a rehab, got me into Banyan House, and I did a 10-day detox in Banyan House. Then I was working with Jane Tonkin at Corrugated Iron Youth Arts, so like a theatre manager, and Mercedes Taff, who was running Counterpunch Boxing. So she was using boxing and choice theory with the kids, and both were brilliant, but there was this couple of brilliant women who came into my life at that point. Monique Gale, who was working with health, who said, Adam, you've got the charisma, you've got the ability with what you've done in your past to create a really cool program. I want you to start writing a program. And so I was like, okay. So this person believed in me, you know. They didn't see the Adam under the tree. They didn't see the Adam who's just getting out of rehab. They didn't see that. They saw something. And So I would sit with her and I'd go, oh, I think it's called Balanced Choice Program. And I reckon I can use theatre because I learned it at university. So that'll get people confident. Fitness because it'll get the body strong. And my uncle's a doctor of foresight, Peter Hayward, and he's brilliant. He used to be at Swinburne University. And he taught me about hope theory. And I went, well, government's going to want that rigour at the back end. And so I remember taking a couple of A4 sheets from an old dodgy printer up to a table of people, including Sally Cohen and Amanda Nobbs-Kakiro and a bunch of others who were sitting around that table. And here I am. The clothes I'm wearing have come from the op shop because that's all I got, Bruce. I went shopping that day with this purple shirt and these jeans. Cost me about $2.50. I'm in that kit. I'm pitching to government and they're like, yeah, we'll give you 3 hours a week. And so 3 hours a week. And then they're like, well, what's that worth? And that's a really hard question when you're running business. What are you worth? Because back then I didn't think I was worth anything. But I got a really good friend. His name's Fraser Caulfield. And Fraser said to me, don't ever undervalue yourself, Drakey. Always put a value and a price on what you're worth. And I'd spoken to someone from Red Cross and she said, it's probably worth about $150 an hour. And I went, oh, it's $150 an hour. And I said, yeah, all right, 3 hours a week. And that's how it started. From there, like, it's just, we got over 20 staff now. We got, it's all around Australia. We've been over to America with it. Like, yeah, cool. But for me, it's still just a wonderful experiment of seeing whether we can actually stop locking kids up. So many people want to protest out the front of places like Dondale. Close it, close it, close it. Don't start closing things until you've got a better solution. And I always think, we just want to provide solutions. Don't come at me telling me there's a problem unless you know or you want to put your hand up and say, let's fix this. And so that's where the people in government aren't trying to make the system bad. I don't believe that for a minute. I think they are wonderful people trying to create a better system. I haven't met someone trying to screw it up yet. And so, yeah, I've been blessed and thankful to meet some amazing people who want to see youth justice change. And in 12 years, I've seen some good change and some terrible change.
What are some of the better changes you've witnessed over those 12 years?
Well, just look at the programs that go in now. I remember when I was about the only program going in. Now there's this array of people doing that type of work. And I go, how good's that? And I remember we still go in a fair bit, but people say to me, oh, yeah, but heaps of people are doing similar work to you. And you go, well, isn't that a wonderful compliment? And maybe we've done ourselves out of a job. So excellent, because then we can go on and do the next bit. If we take offence from everybody who's trying to run something like us, what's that about anyway? Wouldn't we want to be an army together making great work? Like, I think that's way better. So that's been good. Definitely the training for youth justice officers I've seen improve over the years, with less of a focus, I suppose, on maybe things like the physical stuff and more how you regulate a young person and how you can do the preventative work. But again, another great friend, Ray Church, who's, I reckon, the best youth justice officer I've ever seen. He used to always say, Drakey, you got to ride, you got to ride two ponies with one saddle, the well-being pony and the security. And geez, it's so true. Because if you go too far one way, it doesn't work. If you go too far the other way, it doesn't work. So how do you make a balanced choice? And sorry about that. There's the pun.
Sort of a bit off topic, but you've done it multiple times in this conversation. What is the importance of remembering someone's name?
Oh, isn't it everything?
Yeah.
But I went through a season, Joshy, where I actually thought, I don't think it's important. And it's funny that I went on that complete tangent because I've come back the other way now. But the reason why was I was on this sort of vent of like, you earn somebody's name. So I actually want to know who you are. And then I'll remember your name. But if we play a name game, memory name game, and I try and remember it, I'm not even doing it justice.
Right.
And so over the years now, I try to get someone's story because it helps the name stick. And so, but mate, isn't it beautiful? When a young person doesn't expect you to know their name and you say it, man, that's some serious cred and it's some serious respect both ways, isn't it? You found that yourself, mate?
For sure. Because you feel seen, feel heard rather than going, oh yeah, all the time you'll hear about it and they go, oh, they didn't even remember my name.
Yeah.
And they might not. They got 30 people to remember. But then if you're one of the 30 people that they do remember, you go, oh, wow, it must have made an impact. I feel seen.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Isn't that it? Like, you feel seen. How do we make people feel seen?
Yeah. I think in this day and age, everyone wants to be seen. They'll have all of these cameras, social media. Everyone's trying to become some sort of entrepreneur, but gain some sort of following, and that's just wanting to be seen. And that's because we spend so much time on our phone. We're not out in public meeting people and seeing people, so we're trying to all compete on the phone for attention. And that's the same as any social media company. They're all fighting for our attention. That's why we get constantly getting barraged with notifications because it's money. Data's money, time's money.
But how precious is it? Like, it's nice to get a like, and it's nice to get a message on social media, but how nice is it to actually sit with somebody and feel a deep connection? Like, nothing beats it.
You cannot beat being able to share this experience live rather than we've had a great chat online. Oh, yeah, like, what a legend, he's replying to me. It's like, but that's got nothing on having that conversation in real time.
Yeah.
Being able to share eye contact, share the room, share, how good's the rain or the siren going off right now, But you're there living it, experiencing it, being present in the moment with someone.
Really. Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why I've loved theatre and, using theatre in the program as well is, TV and, any of the other technologies. Yeah, you can see someone, you can but when you can actually see them in front of you and it sweats on you and it's next to you and it's, wow, that's an investment, and it's real. And that's why I do love the theatre side. I think theatre also provides this opportunity to rehearse life in a safe place. So you might be a bit better at life when you have to go back into it. And I go, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like playing like a stressful situation. And go, I've had practice at this sort of, okay.
Like a role play, and just talking about how could you do that differently? Like, let's have a look at the time you stuffed up. Where was the moment that you slipped, not where you fell? Let's have a look at the slip. Where's the first bit? Because I know myself, it's so easy. You can just go, for an alcoholic, I might just have one bit. There's the slip. No way. I'm not going there again. No way. That's not who I am anymore. But it's so easy. You might be saying you're not going to be on the punt anymore. You don't want to blow your money or your cash. All right, I'm not betting this Saturday. Oh, one of my black book horses is, I might just, and bang, you're in. And like, I've had all that. Gambling's been hard over the years. Drinking's been hard over the years. There's so many things get offered to us on this silver platter of life. But just try your hardest to be disciplined and follow through with the commitments that you make with yourself. Because if you follow through with the commitments you make with yourself, you start to trust yourself. If you start to trust yourself, you start to like yourself. And then you're flying, But you know all that.
Yeah. That's what the word we mentioned before we were recording, integrity. But then you can start setting bigger goals as well because like, all right, I can achieve that one rather than going, try not to gamble this Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like, I've ticked that off. Let's do a month. Let's do a year. But if you keep failing the first one, then you're never going to set bigger goals. And that's not for things you're trying to avoid. That's things you're trying to achieve as well. Yeah. So it's, all right, I want to kick 5 goals this season, or then you go to 50 or have 20 possessions or get a promotion rather than, not take a sick day. It's how can I actually grow, not survive. It's how can I grow?
That's cool. I used to always talk about the lift of success, and I feel like at life you get off it at the first level, the doors open up and there's something tempting there. If you're able to say no to it, they close, you go up another level. Doors open, something else tempting there. And it's just continues. But if you can say no to what's there, because if you decide to buy into that, you've checked out. So that's where you're staying. But if you want to keep going, you need to keep saying no to the things that are on offer. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself somewhere you don't want to be.
I'm having this internal battle, and it's about drinking, because I don't drink. But last year when we won the grand final, I was like, all right, I've done it. We've done it. I'll celebrate with you guys. I'll drink. And everyone's like, you're going to do it this year? And I'm like, I don't know. Because I remember how bad I felt after.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing.
Yeah. The moment I'm like, do I just not do it? And the last week or two, this month has been really great. A lot of great things been coming in, all these opportunities through saying no to instant gratification and pleasure, because there's been other things that I've knocked off that goal to not have this year. And then the alcohol one it's not hard for me to not drink at all. But that one was the one allowance, and it's all the other people wanting it for them. They want me to do it. So be a part of us, be with us. I know that's not going to serve my highest good. and I think about what's at the elevator, what's at the next level if I say no to that one.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time I've drank in the last 2 years. So if then I go, boom, well, what's on the next level?
Yeah, that's it.
If I get through that one, what have we got? And I mentioned the last time we spoke about this year's the year that I make it happen for me. And I think that's going to be the final test from the above. Where, all right, how much do you really want it? So I guess that's it. We're going sober.
And it is like, I even find listening to you say it, you want it. Yeah. So the only person that gets in the way of that's going to be yourself. And you know it, and I can hear it in you. It's going to be one of the best things you've ever done when you do it. And you will do it because you can hear it in you. And I think that's the other bit of the work we do, like you do. I think you and I do similar work. I'm sure of it. I think we hold up the mirror to people and show them their goodness. And I think that's really cool is you're kind of like, man, have a look at you. You are a sensation. Apart from the dreadlocks, you are an amazing man, like you're a footballer, but you're also just your fitness. But I'm not even interested in that. The bloke that's in there is one of the most sensational humans who actually wants this world to be such a better place. And you do that for people, man. And I kind of do it too, and I love it.
Do it.
Yeah, there you go. Don't even need to put the kind of on it, just knock it down a bit of humble pie,
Yeah, that's been a big thing I've noticed. Like, anyway, people were previously asking about gym stuff. Now they're asking about life stuff. And I'm like, cool, all right. They can see what I'm trying to get at. And I'm like, my life has improved so much because of the habits I'm putting in. And they're like, all right, I don't want to get the benefit of the habits, like getting fitter because I'm going to the gym. It's like, I want to see the happiness that I'm seeing in you because you're doing the good stuff. And that was a big part of the conversation we had at Men Over Matter last week was just about habits to improve our lives or on our personal development journey, not being able to run a faster 5K. It's how much better do I feel because I'm fit enough to run 5K and then I have the energy to do the other cool things that I want to achieve. So, yeah. It's good being that mirror for people. I've had plenty of people ask me about other life things, not just about what can I do in the gym? How can I start a podcast? It's all right. How can I be happier?
And I think you disqualify yourself from those conversations if you let yourself down, continually. And that's the thing, the integrity piece, the ability to really follow through with what you say. People notice it. So it allows you to qualify to be involved in the conversation about, man, how are you running your life? How are you overcoming those obstacles? Because I notice you have.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So I think we are sometimes in danger of living in a world where our leaders don't live what they ask us to do. And it's like, come on, we've got to be better than that. What's the old saying? You want to speak to the cleaner the same way you speak to the CEO. I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, one of my biggest teachers, my dad, but my biggest teacher because I learned from him, but from what not to do.
Yeah.
One of his biggest sayings for me as a kid, I remember, was do what I say, not what I do. And I was like, that's a cop. When you have a role model like that at times, he was also, I learned a lot of good things, but you don't believe anything anyone says when they tell you shit like that.
Totally. And dads are such a formative figure, aren't they? Like, man, I still cry about my dad dying, like I miss him. I was on the plane today and I had a little cry and I miss him. And he showed me so much good. He was such a beautiful man, but there are also things that he showed me that, no, maybe that's not the path I want. Gee, there's so many kids around these days who don't even have dad around. And so it's actually our job to just be better men because the kids need it. And that's what happened when I met those kids in Dondale. I went, man, I just want to be a better dad for my kids, but more, I really want to be a better man. And I want to be able to, my word is my word for these fellas in here. And we tried to break a world record one time in there, the most push-ups in 1 hour. I didn't get anywhere near it. I think I fell 600 short. It was like, I think I did 2,345 in an hour. But at the 40-minute mark, I'm vomiting in a towel. The lactic acid's kicked in. The push-up doesn't even look like a push-up. It looks like a plank probably. And this kid over in the corner yells out, Adam, we need a champion. Come on. That was it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you do. And you actually deserve a lot of them. And not many of us are being it. So I just want to be a champion. And so you just try every day to just be a bit better.
Yeah. That was my biggest motivation for stopping drinking was I was coaching. I still am coaching junior footy, but a different team back home in Melbourne. And I rocked up to a game hungover at the start of my first season coaching him. And I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
How can you be an example for them? And knowing that they're going to go into those formative years, I'm like, nah, I can't show kids that this is how you have fun on a weekend and it's the only way to do it. And I couldn't show up the best I could for them either. So I was like, no, I'm done for the whole footy season. I didn't drink. And then I had 1 or 2 more times after that. And I've probably drank twice after that. So yeah, that's a big one is living with integrity. And then I think that's probably why I had that mirror as a kid. And that's why it's such a strong value now, because I didn't have it. And that's something that I would have respected. So now I'm being that person that I lacked. Yeah.
It's funny that the little errors or the little slip-ups or the little moments of realisation are so important. But it's so important we don't stay there, but we move past it. And I love that. Like I can relate. I was thinking when you were saying that there was a time I was running our anchor program in Port Phillip prison with a bunch of prisoners, and I made a commitment because at the end of each value, we make a commitment to it. And mine was that I was going to ring my mum and tell her that I love her, because I don't tell her enough that I love her. And so I come in the next day and the fellas go straight to me and they go, ring your mum? You didn't ring your mum. We said what we did. We followed through. You didn't. You're leading the program, man. And I was like, can I ring her at morning tea? Is that all right? I'll go. And so I rang her at morning tea and told her I loved her. But that was such an important moment for me, because you don't want to be just this performative figure that's, talk about values, talk about whatever. If you're not following through, prison's a great place to make sure that you follow through with your word. And they just kept me honest and I loved it. Yeah. I'll never forget that moment. And since then, I'd like to think I've never made the same mistake. And off the top of my head, I don't think I have.
That's why I am very quick to put my stuff on social media for that accountability, because it's so good when you have someone else holding yourself to it. Something I still need to work on is being able to go, it doesn't matter. I don't need to tell anyone, I'm doing it for me. But I think that's a big motivator, is because then I'm accounted for, but also people then see you doing it and they go, all right, I'll do that. And then they can jump on. That's why I started an accountability group on Instagram. So just for the month. So for the month of January, I've got 2 things that I'm trying to achieve this month. And then the other guys put in 2 things they're trying to do this month. And you don't have to achieve it. You just have to be accountable.
Yeah, great.
And so the only rule, you have to check in every 3 days minimum, because then you could just be avoiding us and you're out. Yeah. That's all it is. Just check in and go, I've been struggling. I've been away. I've been sick. That's cool. But at least you've been accountable. And most of the time people get it done. Because you see other people doing their thing, you're like, oh, yep, cool, they've been doing it, I'm going to get on it too. And then you support it rather than isolated because you've been out and like, oh, I haven't been doing it. Oh, they're all doing it. I feel shit. You're like, no, we're bringing each other up. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's been good for me. Like my month's been solid. The first week was really rough. The things I'm trying to achieve. So one was no porn.
Hey.
My goal for the whole year is just, I'm not going to say celibate, because if I meet someone, then that's another story. But there was that, and run every day. I'm doing that for the year as well, but I was kick a month off and tick those off. So I actually need a run today. I was going to put my shoes and socks on. I'm sitting in the carport and it just bucketed down. I'm like, I've got to go to work. These dreads will not dry in the next day. I'll do it later. So after this, I'll get the K in. But
good on you.
I've got that group to be accountable. Accountable as well. And I put that big post on New Year's Day with all the stuff. So 1st of Feb, I'll do another one.
And it's so important, that the one about porn, like it's so easy to get a bit embarrassed talking about porn, talking about those types of things, But if we don't talk about it, how are the kids ever going to learn about? But we got to get control of it first. We got to make sure that we actually got some control of it. And I take my hat off to you, mate. Like, that's huge. And it's really important that we actually have these discussions with kids. They want to have it. They want to talk about this stuff. People talk about it online in their private chat groups and whatnot. So why aren't we openly having discussions with young people about that's not love. That's not connection. That's cheap. And it's nasty, and it's not teaching you how to, be great at it. Come and sit in a group and talk about what love really is. Like, let's do that way better. Maybe we're going to have a whole lot less problems with the way men treat women and vice versa if we started to get on top of some of this stuff and have groups like what you're doing. I think it's superb, mate.
Well, that's one of the topics that came up in Men Over Matter. So if I didn't mention that, someone else would have felt safe to bring up his experience with it. And I think talking about it, normalizing it, creates safety around the conversation rather than shame. Because if you think no one else is going through it, you're just going to feel shame and think you're the only one. And that's not just porn, that's alcohol, gambling, any mental health, anything at all.
Yeah.
If you don't hear anyone else talking about it, there's no other representation, then you think pretty isolated and it gets worse.
There's something in that. The things you want to naturally put underneath the carpet are the things you most need to talk about,
100%.
because they're the things that are actually robbing you of your integrity. They're chipping away your character. They're hurting you as a man, as a person. It's like, let's just get together and lift up the carpet and have a look what's under there together.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're never going to get better at bench pressing if you avoid bench pressing. You got to just get in there and do the reps and it gets easier.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah. So we've spoken a lot about integrity. You've just got a new tattoo. I'd love to talk about, you can I don't know, try and point it up, but tell us about it. So what's this for?
Well, so the balanced choice journey, when we first used to go into Dondale, it used to be a little bit of stretching, bit of fitness. We'd do a workout. We might play one theatre game and the prize would be a Powerade at the end. And then we'd sit down and we put a quote in the middle and we would talk about the quote. So the quote might be, every storm runs out of rain, or it might be kind for people for fighting a battle you know nothing about, or so many good ones. I'm just trying to think of some of the others that the young fellas have just loved over the years. Worrying is like being in a rocking chair. It'll give you something to do, but it'll take you nowhere. Just quotes like that. And so we'll just talk about it. And I saw the value of sitting in circles and talking together, but then I used to always think that just scrapes the surface. We get a bit fit, we get a bit connected, and we do a bit of internal fitness. Cool. Then I went, we need more than that. And I remember Leanne Little approached me years ago and said, you need to write something a bit more advanced, program-wise. And so I wrote the anchor with the team, the Balanced Choice team, and we were like, 20 values over 20 sessions, looking at that value. So if we're talking about, let's talk about integrity. Let's do 5 quotes about what integrity is. Now, who are you when no one's looking? Whatever the other 4 are. Then you and I choose the one we like the best. Then we go, okay, that's cool. Now let's talk about, what does the word even mean, integrity? And then we define it together as a group. Then we might play a theatre game about integrity, but then we do the bit which I love the most, which is the futures triangle: past, present, future, integrity in your past. Let's do it together now. How was yours?
Terrible. Yeah.
Me too.
I think that's why it's such a strong value now, because how shit I would feel about myself, the shame and guilt for saying I wanted to do something and never following through with it. And then the feeling of how you feel when you do follow through with it, and you're like, oh, that's a lot better. Yeah. Let's focus on this more.
That's it. And so for me, same. When I was drinking I'd be lying to people left, right and centre. My word was not my word. I'd do anything, just to get another drink. I'd steal people's alcohol. I was living a life of just gambling on credit cards, $36,000 worth of credit card debt. Mum used to open the bill and go, how is he going to get back from here? There's no way back from here. And so, that's what we do. We go past, then we go, okay, let's walk across to this side of the room and we'll call this the present. So how are you now?
Feeling a lot better with it. When I don't want to use the word pride, but I can feel happy with myself that I know that people can trust me with my word and I can trust myself with it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Mine's better, but still not great. It's still hard, it's the temptation stuff, but it's also just, following through all the time. You get so busy, you let people down, but I know I'm a heck of a lot better than I used to be, but there's so much work to be done still. And so that's the journey past the present. But then this is the bit I love. We walk to the top of the room and we go, look back at where you just came from. Because that's today. If this is Josh 20 years from now, and he's looking back here right now at this guy, what's he hoping he does? What's he cheering for? What's he saying? In regards to integrity, I want you to do this. And so then we make a commitment for that guy for the future. And I love it. And some of the things that the guys say and the girls say when we do that, so cool. They write it down in their journals. Then the next day we might do forgiveness. The next day we might do kindness. The next day we might do connection. And so we do the 20 values. And so that's the anchor. And at the end of the program, they put their anchor bracelet on, which is what this tattoo was before yesterday. So that was the anchor program. And it was just literally that. So for the screens, if you want to have a look, that was just that. And there's actually BC in there. But then I realised the anchor program was good because it got us closer to our values. And if you're walking closer to your values, then you're kind of like the person you're becoming.
Mm-hmm.
And if you walk away from them, we know where that ends up. That's not flash. But I never felt there was enough rigor. I was kind of like, yeah, it's cool and it's nice and there's some cool journal things that happen. There's some cool commitments, but a lot of the kids who are doing it, some of them are still getting locked up and I don't know, is it working? And then I was like talking to my uncle who's just amazing and talking to some friends. Then I started listening to a bunch of stuff and I went, discipline. That's it. It's got to be discipline. And I looked into discipline and I found 5 disciplines that I really just went, they're on point. I'm going to call them the ropes of discipline, and that's the next program. And so the tattoo is the start of that program. And so for me, physical is lifting weights, going to the gym every morning. I just do not give myself a choice. Just get up.
I can tell.
50 soon, brother. I'm just trying to get in good nick for 50. So the weight there represents on that rope, the physical. Now, that doesn't mean everybody's got to go to the gym. It might be Pilates. It might be going for a walk. It might just be, for some people, walking 1,000 steps in a day. Whatever. But let's get moving. The second one is surfing in a barrel. Now, I've never ridden in a barrel, but I love to surf and I'm terrible at it and I love learning. The reason why that's there is based on a quote that says, emotions are like waves. You've just got to choose which ones you're going to surf. And so that's the emotional rope. And so are you able to choose the emotions that come to you and choose when you're going to get off it, like when you're riding a wave? And if you don't have that control, can you at least on a daily basis look at the emotion that's coming up, observe it and see whether you want it? So that's that one. Then the next one is the compass. Now, the compass was for the mind, so mental. What are your thoughts? Are they taking you north, south, east or west? Which way are they taking you? Because I hope you can get to a point where you're doing something in your daily practice that helps you go in the direction you want to go. That's all. And so that's the meditation piece. It might be just that chance to get out in nature, have some quiet time, but it's making a commitment around the mental stuff, yeah? And then the next one is spiritual. It's funny, the word spiritual scares a lot of people, yeah? Because like, oh, spiritual, what do you mean? Faith? Oh, and it's like, stop it. Like, imagine if we just went, everybody's got a different roadmap and everybody's going on their roadmap to get home. So stop judging what other people's roadmap looks like.
Or what car they're driving on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because we go, oh, that faith, oh, that's bad. Oh, is it really? Like, it actually serves that person. And if that's right for that person, that's great. Greatest thing I ever did is stop thinking mine was right. Because once I actually started realizing that all the others had something to offer and they were so similar, then I just felt this deep spiritual connection with every person. Had this interaction with a taxi driver in Sydney. And I said, geez, there's something about the Muslim prayer position. It's pretty powerful, bros. I don't know what happens when you do that, but whenever I get down in that position, if I'm praying or if I'm thinking or if I'm doing whatever, I just feel my body feels better for it. And he goes, the 7 points touching, and he starts to explain. And when I left his taxi, he's almost crying and he says to me, thank you for respecting my beliefs. That's it. So spiritual, I just think that's huge. Let's stop thinking it's taboo and let's actually embrace it. And belief also is in yourself. Do you believe in you? Do you really believe in you? Because if you can start to believe in you and you were made exactly the way you were meant to be made and embrace that, then get on that. And then the last one's a carabiner, which is social. So the carabiner is what you clip into the ropes, but it's also what you clip into society. Carrying weight together. It's asking for help. It's reaching out to support each other. Like, that's that one. And so the ropes of discipline is actually a workshop I'm running this week. And I don't know, it's just the next bit for me. And I think by the time I'm 100, I hope I'm completely covered in tats and each one of them is a program I tried. So that's it, bro.
Love it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all awesome and super important. For the last one, I love the carabiner because it's something I'm trying to bring to people is like teaching people to actually ask for help.
Yeah.
Especially as men, we don't do it. We just slip the carabiner onto ourselves and expect it to work. Where has that been important for you actually asking for help?
I'm terrible at it. And almost every one of my staff would say so.
Mm-hmm.
And it is still a real weak spot in my life. And I remember I went to Tennant Creek with one of my staff members and I was so sick. I couldn't even talk in the staff meeting and I just could not even get a word out. And she said, can I cook you a chicken soup, Adam? And I went, nah, I'm all right. And she's like, I'm cooking you a chicken soup. And I went, man, I don't accept anything from anyone. Like, I'm busy offering to everyone else, but I've got this. It's going to be okay. I'm going to be stoic. I'm going to be strong. But am I getting better? I hope this year I make some active steps to get better at that. And hope's a dangerous word to throw out there, but I'd like to check in with you at the end of the year. That's maybe my accountable piece.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
I struggle to ask for help. Why do you think people like us who preach asking for help suck at asking for help?
Yeah. It probably goes back. I had a counsellor say to me years ago, stop waiting for everybody else to save you and save yourself. So then I realised I had all the tools within me, and then I realised I've got this. And so the fear is that when you start reaching out again to other people, that you're relying on them to fix you instead of you being able to do it yourself. And so for me, I feel like I've got it. Like I've been through dark stuff and I'm still where I am now. And I got through, and yes, people helped me along the way, but I learned how to do it without asking for help. Is that good? No. Does it serve me? Yes. Do I want to change it? I don't know. I know I should.
Yeah. This is me piggybacking off you based on my experience. Because you've done all of that already and it's worked and it's served you, that's what you know.
Yeah.
And that's what's safe. So for you to then let go and ask for help, that's unsafe because you don't know it to be true. Yeah. It hasn't actually happened yet. And for me, I've been let down so many times I've asked for help. So I've had to do it myself. So now I don't ask because I'm sick of being let down. So asking for help doesn't feel safe because it hasn't worked. Sometimes it works. But a lot of the time when I ask someone to do something for me, not to do something for me, to help me with something, it gets to the point where it doesn't happen and I'm left. Those expectations aren't met. So now no one can let you down if you just don't ask. So that's what I've learned. Previously. And now, same thing. I'm trying to let go of those past things because they're the past. They're not actually real anymore. But it's hard to, if that's all you've known.
Oh, of course, yeah. And the other piece that reminds me of is we spend our whole life, I heard someone say, we spend our whole life building armor, but sometimes we forget to take it off. And I think I'm in danger of doing that a little bit. It's like, I want to build my body strong, but I've also learned how to protect my heart, when relationships don't work or, when things don't go the way, and that hurt, it takes over you and it consumes you as a young person, and leads sometimes to drinking, not getting access to your kids or whatever. And it's like, it breaks you as a man and you don't want to be broken anymore. So you build this, I'm stoic, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I go to the gym, I whatever. But man, that's not, that it'll get you through life, yeah. But I don't know if you can have the best life.
Yeah.
If you can drop it and let your heart love again and get smashed again and then put the armor back on for a bit and then take it down. Like, let me do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that again. I still stuff up relationships all the time. I still stuff up stuff. But, geez, I've had an amazing 49 years. Yeah. I want to keep loving.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, I don't know if I tell myself that I'm too busy to date because that's protecting me as well. But I definitely think that, going to the gym and I'm getting stronger physically and you're mentally like fortifying the mind, but you're like closing things off. And I think it's when you're saying that, I was thinking, you don't see obese people, and I'm talking bodybuilder obese as well, that counts obese, live 80, 90, 100 years because their heart's working too hard to keep you alive. And so if you look at that from a mental perspective as well, putting on all that armor is going to get too heavy and your system's going to work too hard and it's going to crash and burn. Same as with men over matter. The whole theory behind it, on the weekend, we carried weights for the first time in Darwin, but we always do that in Melbourne. Because at some point, even though it's 2, 5, 10 kilos, that might not seem significant now. But after a long time, it's going to get too much for you. You've got to let it go. You've got to say, mate, I can't do it.
Yeah, wow. One of the questions we ask when we do forgiveness, we say, what have you been carrying around for too long that's time to put down? And just trying to work that out in your life, and that's so beautiful when you're able to put things down because things get lighter and it gives you more room, in your life. And I'm big on that at the moment, like even with the business Balanced Choice, I've done myself out of so many jobs. I haven't been into the detention centre up here in the Northern Territory for the one in Darwin for a couple of years because the staff have got it. but I had to create room by going, I love those kids. I want to do that work. That's what I started doing. It's important. No, you need to go ahead and start to do the work in the communities. You need to go and do this work that's going to grow. We're going to do our first ever conference this year, bringing Father Greg Boyle over from America, one in Darwin, one in Melbourne. Now, that would never have happened if I'd kept feeling like I had to control the work and I had to be doing it all. No. You got to create room. Yeah. So forgive things, but also create room in your business, because what happens when you trust your people blow you away like far out. Yeah.
I had this idea, like a concept with the guys with Men Over Matter. We haven't run it at a retreat yet, because it's always so, when you don't allow anyone to help you out with it, the organisation of it, when you're working as well, is I'd take a day off work and I'd do it all in one day, and I forget this one thing that I want to do. But it's, I got a couple tennis balls and someone else is holding one, and it's like, what's something you've got to let go of? So it could be trauma, it could be responsibility or something, and you can write it on there, whatever it is, and someone else has got a bigger ball over there, and that's an opportunity. So what do you got to do to get that? You got to let something go to allow that in. And I think that would be a great way to visually represent the importance of letting shit go.
Totally.
Because it's like, oh, there's a new job I just let go of, and it could be the job you've got and the better job that's there. Let it go.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of people say, oh, I hate my job, I need a new career, I need to do something more purposeful. Well, for that to come in, you need to create space.
Yep. 100%.
I think, the idea is there, and I'm saying I'm going to do it, but I forget. But that's
really
brought that back up for me.
My uncle, who I adore, he's been like along the whole journey of balanced choice with me. He wrote me this cryptic, after a retreat that we had for our staff last year, he wrote this really cryptic message to me about basically let the business go. And I'm like, what? Let it go? Offer it to your people. And so I ended up going, all right, anybody who wants to set up their own balanced choice around Australia, go and do it. Jason, one of my staff, goes, I'll do Melbourne, I want to do Victoria, and I'll do South Australia. And he's taken it over, and he now set up his own business, Balanced Choice Southeast. And he's now running those two states, owns it, and I'm just so proud of him. But what it's let me do is really focus on what I needed to focus on. So it's been.
What has letting go helped you create? What has that space brought in for you?
So, I just had 2 months where I hardly did any work. I would never have dreamt that that's possible, but a lot of the best ideas come when you're a bit bored and when you give yourself room. And so pretty much from when I was running the ISET program in Tennant Creek in mid-December, so it's not 2 months, but I've been to Victoria to do a bit of surfing, had a family Christmas, jumped on a plane, headed to Bali, surfed a lot, went to the gym every day. And during that, the ropes of discipline became really clear to me. So the next program came really clear because I got enough room and space to be able to do it. And then the conference, Father Greg Boyle, who I reached out to because I watched his thing online and went, man, I've got to meet this guy. I'm just going to send him an email. He'll never reply, but I'm going to send it. And then he writes back and says, come over to LA and come and hang out. What? And now we've got this relationship where he's coming here. So a conference, a new program, because I created that room that I wasn't trying to hold tight to the things that are going on. And Yvonne, she's one of the staff up here in the Northern Territory with Ollie. Those guys have just stepped up to the point where they run the territory pretty much now. They don't even need me. My staff don't need me anymore. I could leave Balanced Choice now and they would make it thrive. And so why am I hanging around? Because I'm getting to create the new opportunities. And then I'm challenging them about, I want one of you to get up and do some speaking at the conference. What? Yeah, I'd like you to talk. I think it's time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love for the I had 2 months off. It wasn't even 2 months, but because of someone who's going, for you to have the space to sit back and stop, and obviously to do such cup-filling things, you don't even need that much time off. It's the quality of it that you got makes it worthwhile as well.
Getting the body right too. If AFL players can do a pre-season and get themselves ready for a season ahead, how do we approach life? Do you and I do a pre-season before we go into the year that's ahead for us? And are we really doing the work that we know is going to give us the fortitude, the endurance, the perseverance, the ability to not give up and the grit to get through the season? Because we're going into another season. And my staff have allowed me to go basically for 6 weeks and get myself in the best condition I've been in for years. My mind, so I feel like it's the first day of Balanced Choice. 12 years later, oh, wow, here we go. What a year this is going to be.
Yeah.
I feel it.
How, apart from this most recent break-off, this most recent pre-season you just had, how do you set your year up in season? So for someone going, all right, that's a good idea. How can I prepare myself for the next season of life? And that might not be January 1st. That might be, I've got a big block of work coming up. I'm trying to think, a big block of work, but I'm feeling burnt out. How do I now manage myself so I can get ready to go again?
Yeah.
How do you set up a season?
Yeah, so one thing I always, with some of the organisations, like corporate organisations we work with, I'll generally say at the start of the year, and I do it with the team, I'll say, what's your theme this year? So first theme it, because unless you're theming it, it's kind of doesn't have an intention. And so this year, I was weighing up what mine was going to be, but this year it's now the year of doing things properly. Because I feel like my whole life I've done things half properly. Like I kind of, you got away with it. Yeah, a bit of chaos in the way you set the business up, bit of chaos about the way you run sessions, bit of chaos about the way you employ staff. And so the staff are dealing with the chaos. And it's like, oh, it's creativity. Let's celebrate it, enjoy it. And then I went, no, what would actually happen if I did this year really properly? Like, make sure I dotted the I's, crossed the T's this year.
Yeah.
And so that's this year. And so I think that's a great first point for people is theme your year. Give it the party sentence or whatever that's, that's what's going to happen this year. Because if you've written down and you're heading towards that's cool. The other one is, make sure you focus on making sure you've got enough self-care in your life. Because if you're not looking after you, we've talked about it 100 times, but how can you pour out of a cup that's never been poured into? What's pouring into your cup at the moment to fill you up so you can actually let it overflow? Because there's a very good chance most of you are running on no petrol and on fumes.
My cup's caffeine. I'm filling mine up with caffeine. Yeah, at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, and so how do we get you doing that one thing each week that gives you the joy that allows you to keep going and feel happy? I don't know about happiness. Happiness is a funny thing because we all crave happiness. It's like we're after this happiness. But every time I've reached for happiness, it never comes. Happiness turns up when I'm not looking. It's like, I remember there's times I've walked out of Dondale when I've just done hundreds of push-ups with those kids, and I've heard a couple of stories, and some kid said to me on the way out, you're just like my dad, and I'm literally tears rolling down my face, and it's raining because it's wet season in Darwin, and it's still 40 degrees, and I'm just like, how good is this? Like, how did this happen? How did I get the cards to be able to have this? I just feel lucky.
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a reflective emotion, isn't it, for me? I think back to trips I've had with mates, and at the time for me anyway, you struggle being present, and you're just like in the moment, and then you look back and like, oh, that was such a good time. Like, how often do you actually sit there because you're doing the push-ups, you're with the kids, engaging in the conversation, being present. Not often in life these days with it being so crazy, do you get to sit back and go, how bloody good is this while you're actually doing it? I think that's why it's important to have reflection time, and I don't do it. I would be preaching something I don't do it. But journaling, like I feel like I'm a reflective person, but I never pen anything down. I've bought the journals and I've done it for a day or two, but I can't, it's not me. I'm not a writer. If you read my writing, you'd understand why. I can't do it.
But these days, there are things, that our world is getting a bit easier with that, like even making notes. Like, I'm a terrible writer, but we have to write reports about the work we do. And so I do voice memos. I'll just do a voice, basically recording and send it off to my sister, who is an amazing writer, and I'll pay her to write my reports for me. And she does a way better job, makes it schmick-as, and then we send it off to government, and government says, this is excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are just my words.
You got Copilot now as well.
Nice.
You know what that is?
Oh, I've heard about it, but don't tell me. My sister said to me a while ago, soon you're not going to need me anymore. And I think that's kind of it.
That's it.
But I do love the fact that my sister provides such a cool service, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, because same. If I'm writing an email, I'm like, make this sound more professional, more concise, more blah, blah, blah. And it'll go. But to be fair, it doesn't change too much.
Okay.
But yeah, that's for me, probably for longer winded, better things that'll do more. For a whole report, I would definitely be using AI.
Yes.
Yeah. Has it done much for your business?
AI?
Yeah.
I think it complicates things a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put things into AI and it will give offerings. But most of the best ideas that Balanced Choice comes up with is through our own creativity, I reckon.
All right. You can't recreate human.
But what I do like about AI, though, is you can get the thing thinking a bit like you think. So you can say, okay, 3 games, these are the games I think I should play. I've told you about these 100 games. Out of those 100 games I've told you, which one would you probably play here? And then you give me 3 reasons and I'll go, I don't know, maybe that one. But what it does is it helps me have something to reflect with. And then go and back myself in. And I think, when you're facilitating workshops and you're doing the stuff we do, you just got to back yourself in. Like, I have an attitude when I walk into any session of going, I'm going to win the room. You're going to love this. Like, I know you are. And I don't tell them that, but the internal conversation I'm having during it is, there's going to be a point you're all going to come on board and this is going to be the best workshop you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying to myself. Not, they're looking at me funny. Oh, man, am I doing a good job? I don't even know if I'm qualified. I'll get stuffed. Like, shut up. You are brilliant at this. You are the best at this. Nail it. Like, I love it, man.
Love that.
Yeah, you got to. You don't have that when you walk in. We so often listen to that little voice of doubt. I remember running a workshop on the voices of doubt. You can spend your life there. And I see so many people. I'd prefer to be so optimistic that I'm unrealistic because my life's been incredible by doing it that way.
Shoot for the stars. And if it lands a bit lower, it's still better than not doing anything.
That's it, mate, yeah.
I say to a lot of people when they ask me about judgment, because I, do a lot online and stray from the normal path a lot, especially back home. And I'm like, well, no one said anything to my face anyway.
Yeah.
So all those doubts I have, they've never come to fruition. They're all just little things you create. And even if someone is judging you, they haven't said it to me. So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, nice.
Rather than thinking, what do they think? What do they think? Well, they're not going to tell you what they think anyway. So it might as well not be real. Yeah. So because a lot of people have eventually give you flowers. They might, once they're pissed, they'll tell you that they like what you're doing. I wish I could come, but I just can't. And which is fine. Everyone's on their own journey.
Yeah.
But there's probably as many people that are silently cheering for you as they are pulling you down. And either way, they're not saying anything. So for me, until people start, when it's real and they're saying it, that's when you take it on board. Yeah. So same thing. You don't want to get a big head because, it helps you be humble.
My uncle said years ago to me some stuff that'll stay with me forever. He said, Adam, if you pay attention to all the people who are, basically just telling you you're amazing, the first person that tells you you're not is going to crash you. So you need to just be balanced in the way you listen to feedback. And then I read a quote that said, people's opinion of you is none of your business. And that helped me because I have had people. I remember one person online said to me that I represented masculine toxicity, something like that. And what was beautiful is I didn't have to say anything. Everyone who knew me just ripped them to shreds, as in, do you even know this guy? Do you even know what he does? Do you even know the work that he's doing with these kids? And I just went, wow, it doesn't really matter. People are going to love you. People are going to hate you. But if you know you're doing what you're put on this earth to do, you just keep going. And there are going to be beautiful seasons. Like we've been nominated a couple of times for Australian of the Year for the NT. We never won it. Oh, we disappointed? No, not at all. How fabulous that someone wanted to do that. But does it matter? No, I'm going to do the work tomorrow, whether we win, lose, draw, get disqualified. We're still going to do it. So, yeah, just keep going. I love it.
I've had that a little bit recently, people commenting stuff just on TikTok. And, it's not an app that I wanted to be on, but it's also something you've got to do if you're trying to get somewhere these days online, is you got to be on the platform. So, but yeah, I'm like, you feel it in you, you want to buy it, and you're like, but I know who I am and I know what I'm doing, so it doesn't really matter. You do have to remind yourself, but I think having that knowledge of who you are and trust in what you're doing and self-belief, you're like, all right, it doesn't matter what anyone says, so that's their own business. And then also being a spiritually minded person, knowing what is this bringing up in them that makes them feel the need to comment that way. That saying where only people doing worse than you will try and pull you down. Yeah. People got to stay in the mud to keep you down. As the old saying, if you're going to hold somebody down, you got to stay in the mud with them. And so you're actually not going anywhere. And so I would hate to ever be holding someone down in the mud, because you're actually not getting a chance to get out of the mud. The other one is, the way people talk about other people says more about them than it does about the other person. I think that's spot on. Like when I'm around someone and they're just chiming in on someone and giving it to them, I'm like, oh, man, wow, I hope I don't do that. I'm sure I have, but I try not to because it is so disgusting about that person who's saying it.
the gossip, the way you're talking, like, come on, really?
Yeah.
We got to be better.
Yeah.
Kids are listening.
And that's the biggest thing is when you see people yelling or like just carrying on in public and you're like, that looks so ugly.
Yeah.
And then that makes me reflect and think, all right, when have I been like that? Or now when I feel like doing that, I'm like, I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that person.
Yeah. And it's not a piece about righteous. It's not about, how dare they? I've been there. I've done it. I've totally done it. I get it. And I hate it when I do it. And I can hear myself doing it. And I'm halfway through doing it. And I go, oh, yuck, you sound disgusting. But at least get aware of it and then try to stop.
Yeah. Biggest one for me is judgment of other people. And like looks is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Because I know that's just my own insecurities reflected.
Yeah.
Wow. They doing like it could be, this is growing up as a kid, kids are being like very materialistic and always looking outward and going, oh, they're wearing like that, or how could you let yourself get to that size or shape? And that's just because that's how I would feel about myself if I looked like that. And that's been the greatest thing for me now is bitching is something I don't engage in anymore because I know that that's just me pushing my own stuff onto other people. Every time I have that thought, I now cut it off.
Good stuff.
Straight away, I'm like, what are you, like, that's about you. So that's been a big piece for me. But I want to talk about you and spirituality because it is a taboo thing. So where did that journey start for you?
Oh, I grew up in the Christian church with mum and dad. So TLC was probably the biggest hippie church going around in the 70s. There were movements in the Christian church called Campaigners for Christ. And there'd be these amazing weekends mum and dad would take us to when I was sort of late 70s. I'd be 3 or 4 years old because I was born in 76. Growing up in that church was so cool because it was just a place that I felt very loved and cared for. Mum and dad just were amazing parents. Then I got to, I suppose, see the sides of the church that I didn't necessarily love. And this is why, I started, I suppose even now, like creating anchors and ropes of discipline. I used to always say, church annoys me. Like church is cool and there's some really beautiful moments in church and I love it. But why don't they give us more tools? Why don't they actually give us stuff that helps us get through the day-to-day stuff? Like, this scripture will fix it, or give it to God, or, come on, do the work yourself and make God proud. Like, come on. I think I want to roll my sleeves up, get my hands dirty and be accused of doing the work on myself rather than just thinking that, my dad used to say this, I love it. Don't be so earthly. No, don't be so heavenly that you know earthly good. And I love that. It's like, don't be so up in the clouds with your prayer and your spirit and you're speaking in tongues or you're doing this or you're doing that and you're knocking people down with prayer or in other faiths, you're just going to enlightenment. Get stuff. Be practical. Get it done. Live it. Be it. Go and hang out with the people who need it the most, Stop getting in your bubble and meditating for 24 hours on your farm. Like, come on, And so for me, there's a side of me that just gets super passionate about that. And so I got married back about 6 years ago and we've since separated, but she's such a wonderful woman, Priya, and she's Hindu faith. And learning from her about her faith was just so gorgeous. And so many other people, like one of my best mates, Sammy Foster, he's Buddhist, and he taught me all about Buddhism. And Gavin Robbins, who's the movement director at NIDA, talked to me about Hinduism and Buddhism. And so I've had these flavors of really spiritual humans come into my life and go, we all got it right. It's beautiful. And I don't want to say yours is wrong. I just want to actually grab some of it if that's cool.
Yeah.
And so my spiritual journey has gone from, very much growing up Christian church, having some amazing experiences in the church and just growing and meeting some amazing human beings, to being a bit more open-minded as I got older. Realising that if I was going in to run balanced choice, it couldn't be about one faith. You have to be able to be anything to any person. What's the old saying? Be all things to all people. Anyway. And so you want to be able to love, and that's what I love about values, love, kindness. They run through all the beliefs. And so just live like that. And, if I disqualified myself and get up to heaven or get up to wherever, whatever's next, and I get knocked out because I didn't live exactly the way I was meant to, but I had a crack at the values and I had a crack at the ropes of discipline, then you're a pretty crap God. And I actually reckon we've created a crap God. God's not like that. Father Greg Boyle talks about a God that actually just love. And Is he going to really throw you into hell? Nah, get stuffed. He's not going to throw you into hell. He loves you. And we all make mistakes, but everyone deserves a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, and 8th chance because life's a bit too hard to get right the first time. Like, come on. So I actually just think we actually sit down and work out who this God really is. And I reckon he just loves, and I reckon love is the starting point. Love wins.
Do you believe in reincarnation then?
It's a funny story. I'll tell you a story. I'm not going to say no to that because there's too many things I've seen that there's definitely a recipe of that somewhere through this whole existence. And that is when my old man passed away, he asked me to go sprinkle his ashes. And I remember saying to Dad as he was dying, Dad, where am I going to find you? Like, when you're dead, where's the place and you're going to just turn up, Like, 'cause I just want to see you again. He asked to be cremated, so I had his ashes. Mum gave me his ashes. I was staying at my sister's house at Bargara over near Bundaberg, paddled out on my board, took his ashes out to where he wanted me to put his ashes and poured him in the water. Now, the water didn't sort of the ashes didn't go like this. They kind of come together like this. Now, I paddled alongside it, and then out of the water, this sea turtle pops up. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, just this moment. And the next 2 times I'm in the ocean after that, guess what comes up? Sea turtle. And I'm like, I remember coming back to some of my brothers and sisters out in the community, and I was like, what is that? And they're like, that's where your dad's gone, just to let you know he's okay. So I got the tattoo of the sea turtle. That reminds me of Dad all the time. And so I reckon Dad his spirit was able to go to that place to let me know I was okay. Is that reincarnation? I don't know. I just think, you ever watched the movie Gladiator?
I actually haven't.
Okay, so in the movie Gladiator, there's the way the camera represents the spirit going through the property that he lived in and down the path. I was watching it this morning. It's kind of how I reckon the spirit goes, is once it leaves your body, it just moves. And maybe it can go and sit in a sea turtle for a while and let your son know he's okay. And maybe it just is around for a while until it goes to the next place or whatever, but I don't know what happens.
Well, they say we're all atoms. We don't go anywhere. Energy just moves.
Yeah, I don't have the answer for that, and I'm so excited about that. Like Father Greg Boyle talks about it a bit, but he always says that when his mum passed away, he said the last breath she took was just like, and he said anybody within earshot of that breath would never have a fear of dying, because for Mum, it was like skydiving, because she's never done that before. And I haven't done it either. And so I'm so excited for it, but I know I've got to wait a bit longer before I do it.
That's cool. I say that because you said you get to the gates of heaven and if God knocks you back. But as he's a loving God and a caring God and he wants us to be good and do good and be better, you might just go, well, you're great. Here's what we're going to work on the next one.
Yeah, nice.
All right, we're going to go back and, you said you've lived your life the best way you can, but we're not perfect. And we're all, guys like ourselves want to love our personal development and we want to become the best people we can so we can continue to help people become the best people they are. Like, you've done awesome. Here's a couple of things we've left. And, through our experiences, we learn from them and become better people, but we don't get to experience everything that everyone else has experienced. We can meet other people who've been through different things from us. Let's go experience life through their lens now, because we can get a bit of an understanding about someone's life by talking to them.
Yeah.
But until you've sat in their shoes, how can you judge them? How can you fully comprehend that? So kind of like when you play a game, and like you can say like Street Fighter's one, and you have this character, this is what he's good at, this is what his weaknesses are. All right, let's see what it's like playing as this guy.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you sit in their body and see through their eyes what life's like. That's my theory.
That's cool, man. I love just learning off each other because it gives you more offerings, There's a book that's called The Tibetan Art of Living and Dying, and it talks about practicing your death on a daily basis. Now, that doesn't mean practicing what happens, like as in how you die. It's about practicing what your spirit does. And so I try now in my meditation to just let my spirit go to where it would like to go to. And it's funny because I feel myself go to a mountaintop, almost like an eagle, and then off into the water because I love water, down into a cave. In that cave, there's my dad and my grandmother who I adore, and my best mate down there who passed many years ago, who was a great family friend. And I'm just hugging them and I'm seeing them all again. And I go, well, if that's it, that's cool. And so maybe we're just meant to be a bit calmer about this death thing and stop freaking out about it and actually sit and talk about it a bit without freaking out, because what's there to be scared of?
in all religions I've, heard about none of it. It's never negative dying. It's never negative. It's a beautiful experience. Yeah. Apart from people talk about if you go to hell, then that's different. But for me, I just try to live my life in a way that wouldn't happen. I just try and live a positive life, help people, do good. And then I guess you can get to the end of your life and go, I did everything the way that would, did everything right. Like you don't have any regrets. You didn't do anything wrong by anyone, or you tried not to anyway. You didn't intentionally do anything wrong by anyone. You could get to the end of your life and go, oh, I wish I treated that person better. No, I did everything I could. And then how could death be a negative thing?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I try and do it now. Obviously, that's not always been the way, but now it's all right. Let's try or get to the end of every day and go, did I do anyone wrong? No. Am I trying to help people? Yes. Cool. That's good.
I get inspired by, I always have been inspired by people who are older than me, who seem to have a calmness about all of this stuff. And I used to get in the gym too, I think the gym's an amazing place because you go in there and there's older men and women than you throwing around weight, still working on themselves, come over and say, I'll spot you, make you feel like you belong with them. That's part of the reason I went to the gym to start with is I wanted to get big, I wanted to get buff, but I actually just also wanted to learn from people. And so I get worried that sometimes our commercial gyms have moved a little bit away from that connection and that belonging. And I'm too busy setting up my camera and my tripod instead of actually just having a conversation. And the days I forget my earpods are the best days. And I've got to keep doing that more often, but I then just put them back in and listen to Dorian Yates screaming again and start trying to lift heavy weights and, listen to stuff about testosterone and throw my weights around because it's fuel. But you know what? The days that they're not in, I make these beautiful connections with people. Funny how we've created a world where we want to avoid everybody on our planes, on our trains, anywhere where there's people, but it's what we need the most.
It's funny that like that people are setting up the cameras and the tripods at the gym. They won't make eye contact with you.
Yeah.
They want everyone to see them, but they don't want to be seen. It's so strange.
Isn't it?
And then I think about that and I'm like, what happens when you get to a point where enough people are seeing you that they'll see you in public and then want to go talk to you? Then what do? You hate, we're so detached from reality when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Totally.
I thought it was the best thing ever. I had a guy come up to me at the gym. He's like, oh, bro, I've seen you on TikTok. That's so good. And I was like, it's working. I thought it was so awesome. I felt so seen to think. And when people compliment you, like I had a guy, I did the Oz run at the waterfront on Monday. And I was wearing the Men Over Matter singlet. And a guy come up and introduced himself to me. I'm like, all right, my aim was to have a positive impact. This is actually working. That's my confirmation to keep going. But I do that every time at the gym. If I see someone, I'll try and make eye contact in a safe way. It's an interesting landscape at the moment with women, but blokes felt different. How you going?
Yeah.
Good. Instead of going, oh, don't look at me. I had a good interaction last Saturday. And it was funny because it was ego fueling at first. I was like, I'm on the bench press. This guy's on the bench press. We're doing the same weight at the moment. I can't let this guy bench more. But also, I was like, he might be doing the same thing. So I offered him a spot and I was like, hey, and then we ended up having a really good interaction. If I was just in my head going, I need to beat this bloke instead of he's a fellow human, we wouldn't have been able to say, g'day, how you going? Do you need help? Yeah.
So good. It is, the conversations the stories we make up in our head, wherever we are, geez, they're ordinary stories. Like in the gym, this guy, I reckon he doesn't like me. I'm going to outburn you. What the hell are you doing? The guy's probably a really good human who actually, if you spoke to them, is really soft and kind. But we kind of do this weird stuff. We do it in the road. Like you watch people road rage. I've done it heaps of times. But you're in this metal thing and all of a sudden you think you can be the rudest person in the world because you're protected by the metal. Like, come on. Can't we treat each other a bit better than?
Road rage is such a great place for spiritual practice.
Yeah, totally.
Because I get it all the time. Yeah. Actually, not in Darwin. There's no traffic. It's bloody awesome. That's why I love this place. But in Melbourne, depending on your mood that day, you're like, what is this asshole doing up my ass? I'm going the speed limit. Yeah. And then the next day you've had a shit day and you're the asshole up someone's ass going, don't they know I need to get somewhere? No, they don't. Yeah.
How quickly we drop our story to serve our story.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't love being in traffic, but I love being a spiritually inclined person and having those moments of awareness and then being able to laugh at myself going, fuck, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I need to get somewhere. And it's like, well, getting around that car isn't going to change you should have left earlier, or you should have done this, or you can't have predicted that. Between that 20 meters of you getting in front of them doesn't change the outcome of anything.
Craziness.
It's cool being able to have that spiritual practice.
Yeah. One of the Mother Teresa quotes, what is it? Sometimes we forget we belong to each other. It's something like that. And I just adore that. It's like we treat each other like we don't belong with each other. But the secret is we actually do. And the problem with the world is that we've created an us and them. If we drop the us and them and actually just us, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much out there at the moment trying to separate us and show us how different we are. And I was talking my story, I think you liked it the other day, about men over matter. And it was so great to have a couple guys from Nepal that are studying here. And yeah, they had I'm from Melbourne, another bloke from Queensland, another bloke from Sydney, another bloke born in Darwin. A couple of us looked a bit similar. A couple of us had tattoos and a bit longer hair, and a couple of us looked very different. Yeah. But we all, once we got chatting and got what was on the inside, we realized how similar we were and forgot about all the things that separated us.
There you go.
And realized that we're all human. We're all blokes trying to be better.
So good.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get there quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, my friend Georgie says this, and it's, you can go far alone. But, what is it? You can go so far alone, but you can get further. Yeah.
Together.
Yeah. Oh, you can.
It's a good quote.
Yeah.
Alone we can go so far. Together we can, someone else.
Together we can go a long way. I think that's what it is. Yeah. But Georgie, you feel free to correct me.
Yeah, exactly. Right in the notes.
Let me know, because we did a podcast together and she said it in that. So cool. Go back to that one with Georgie. I think we made it this far as well. There's a little self-plug.
Awesome.
But yeah, your work, Balanced Choice. We've touched on a little bit, but I want to hear about some stories and some people we've spoken to. Like you mentioned when we caught up for coffee the other week, you've got the 15-year-old girl there. I want you to come and speak for me and work for me. And I think that's really inspiring that you can go and meet people and little moments can have such a profound impact. And I want to hear about some of those little moments that you cherished.
I think, one like the story I talk about a lot for adults in particular is that the thing that I call the acid test that young people put us through. I mean, these are really beautiful moments I've had with young people, and it's where they taught me one of my greatest lessons. And so I remember there was a young person in a detention centre. I went in one day to work with her. We started training and she's just looking at my face like she's looking at me trying to work me out. And she goes, "Adam, you look like a rat." I said, "What?" She goes, "You look like a rat." I went, okay, sort of laughed and went, "What, like Shredder from Ninja Turtles or what?" Well, she didn't know what I was talking about because that was my decade, my era. And I just sort of let it go. I just kept going, kept the session going. The next day I go in, I train with her again. She's heaps softer, heaps kinder. And on the way out, she goes, Adam. I said, "Yeah, what's going on?" She goes, "I just want to ask you something." She goes, "Can I call you Dad?" I said, "What?" She goes, "I lost my dad a little while ago. Can I call you Dad?" "Yeah, of course you can." And even now, me and that kid's still in contact. I've been out to her community and I've watched her grow up into an amazing young woman. And I think to myself, imagine if I got stuck at the rat. But why did she do that? Well, maybe she did it because so many adults have let me down. Let's get this done quickly. So I'm going to call you something right now. I'm going to see who you really are. You're a rat. Not, "What do you mean I'm a rat? You're in here. You're locked up. You're a..."
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, okay." And so same thing happened when I was with another young kid, and he passed recently. And that's a hard part of this work, is we lose them along the way. And it's sad, what happened to this young man. But I remember seeing him, and he'd been locked up for a fair bit of time, as in during the day. I don't even know if he'd been let out yet that day. They let him out after I spent some time with him, but I'm walking past his cell and he yells out, "Hey," never met this kid, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, can I go chat with him?" "Oh, yeah, Garvey." He goes, "What's your name?" I said, "Oh, Adam." He goes, "You from the Adams family or what?" I just laugh like that. And he goes, "And they dreadlocks, they're disgusting. Like, they are so gross. I bet you they stink, eh?" I just laughed again. I said, mate, do you mind if I just sit here at your door? Like, tell me what you're into. Tell me what. About half an hour in, he's singing raps to me. He's doing the whole bit. And then they open the door up and he gives me a hug. And, you know, that kid let me hold his baby. You know, I watched that kid grow up into an amazing young man who then passed away because of some horrible stuff that happened. But again, I would never have got that relationship if I got stuck at that bit. And so those two stories, I just think they're really important for people to hear, because stop getting stuck at the offence. Stop getting offended and look for the reason why someone says something to you and lean in instead of lean out. Quit to lean out and label, lean in and do the work. You're the adult. If adults behave like adults, it allows kids to be kids. Problems when adults start behaving like kids and then the kid thinks they've got to become the adult. That's the whole problem here. And so how do we do that better? And so they're just a couple of moments. Anything else I suppose you really wanted to hear? Because there's so many stories I could tell you about kids on the inside, kids who I've seen turn their life around.
All of them would be good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Some success stories would be.
There's a young man down in Tennant Creek now who's doing our ISEP program with RN Employment. It's funded by NIA, federal funding. And he's been through the system. I remember the first time I saw him, and he wasn't in the program at the time. One of his mates was, and he sort of came in and they were doing some rap music. And I went up to him. I remember saying, I really want to work with you. Because I just knew he'd been running amok in town. I said, I just really want to work with you. And he's like, brushed it off. Then he sat in on one of the sessions when we were doing the anchor, and he just listened. Like, you know, when a kid listens, like he's not just sort of, he's right in. And that we were talking about forgiveness. Next thing you know, he's enrolled in the next course. And he still had some stuff he had to deal with in court and a whole bunch of stuff, which we like to write letters of support when we see a kid turning his life around and tell the court we think this is going to be pretty successful for him. Well, that young fella now, he's got a ripping job. He's making his family proud. He's a young dad. He messages me almost every day from work. Look what I'm doing. The best bit, though, was when he graduated, his dad was in the audience. And I don't think there's anything better than watching a dad cry for his son. And he's filming and he's crying. And then I said to the dad, do you want to say something? I don't want to say. I can't say anything. And he's so proud of his son. And you watch their relationship go like this. And then you can get out of the way because it's just dad and son back together again. And, you know, he had auntie sitting there as well and a bunch of other people who just were so proud of him. And he held up the mirror of his goodness to his family. And then everyone in the family bought back into him. And then he's bought back into himself. Now he's unstoppable. I just love that kid. I can't wait to see him in about a week. I'm going to Tennant and I'm going to train with him. And it's going to be superb. And he's got a mate. And his mate's got a job now and doing great too. And he turned it round. But there's a young girl who again, I've seen kids turn it around in the centre. But when you're locked up, it's very hard. I always say it's a space of liminality. It's a space that is really not necessarily a real space. It's a space you're going to be for a short period of time, but it's kind of a fake space because you've got to go back to where you've come from. That's
put you there.
Exactly. And so that's always the hard bit with detention is I kind of feel like it's such a different setting to what you've come from that we're creating a false place to practice life and then go back to where you've come from. But I again want to talk about the Tennant Creek program because there was this girl who was in our program and she did not miss a day. She wore a uniform. It's always interesting, you know, these uniforms that we got, when I pick them up and they're in the uniform, it's like the intention's there. They just love it. When they're not wearing the uniform, it's just not quite the same. And I was never one for uniformity. I hate schools with uniforms. I just think, no, free dress should be free dress. But when a kid decides to wear that shirt because I'm going to work, or I'm going to my course. And there's pride in that. Jesus, cool. So this young girl, she started coming to the program and just such a happy person and loved having her in the bus every time we'd go and do a different activity. And we said, we're going to go to the business hub tomorrow in Tennant Creek. You know, if you wanted to set up your own business, that's what the business hub's for. Well, I've already started a braiding business. I do like hair and stuff. So she set up her own braiding business and got the whole web page and the whole bit. And she braids people's hair in Tennant Creek. And that was so cool. And then she said, I want another job. It's not enough. I need more hours. So then she starts working at the high school. She's working like as a teacher's aide. She's just about to be employed to be the assistant on the Balanced Choice program for the next course. That's full circle. Like, I'm doing myself out of a job because that kid could run this way better than I can. And if you've got this mentality, you're always going to do yourself out of a job, that's real cool because all these young people flourish and just do it way better than we do it. So she's pretty awesome. And there's another kid, and at this point in time, I don't know where he is. I haven't heard from him for maybe a few months. Just a gorgeous young bloke I worked with from when he was about probably 11 or 12. And that's so sad that we talk those numbers and we talk about incarceration. But I remember seeing him in the same rehab that I was in, Banyan House, and I was running a session for him. And he came up to me afterwards and he just hugged me and he says, I just want you to know you've been like a dad to me. And we talk about how important dads are. And that's one of the greatest compliments I've ever had is you've been like a dad to me. And I just go, oh, wow. If that's my ripple effect in this world, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, that's the biggest takeaway I had from coaching junior footy was the difference between kids who had present parents, mostly dads, because a lot of them were, these days divorce rate. The ones that had dads that were present and involved, you could just see the difference in how the kids behaved and that sort of thing. So I think it's super important. And that's why I am so passionate about being involved in men's work now, because I can't be a teacher, I can't be in schools with kids 6 hours a day or whatever. I can do footy training and I can post stuff online that hopefully kids listen to and that sort of thing. But I can do men over matter with men. I can do retreats and I can try and improve myself and be that mirror for other people to show that they can improve themselves, so that when I have kids and these other men have kids, they already have the tools to be better men, so that kids grow up learning from good men rather than men that need to learn. And that's obviously, that leads to my next question is kids shouldn't be incarcerated at 11 and 12. But something leads them to be where they are. And that might be due to the habits they're learning from the men in their lives or from not having men in their lives. And how can we, as men that don't have kids but are around young kids or a men in society, how can we help other men around us and kids around us?
It's good. So we've got to be reachable first. That's the starting point. And we've got to create places of belonging. And so I think they're the two main ones for me is I'd ask every bloke out there, every person, because it's so important now. We talk about women too in this because, wow, they've held it together for so long. They need help and we need to be better helpers. But how reachable are you to the kid that comes up and abuses you? How reachable are you to the kid on the street who's, flogged something from your house? How reachable are you to love people who aren't easy to love? Are you leaning in or are you leaning out? So that would be my first question, is be reachable. And then the other one is create, like you're already doing it with your program, I just believe what you're doing is you're creating a place of belonging to have conversations that matter. And that's it. How can we do that? And how can we do it without necessarily having a retreat? How can it just become normal?
That's why I created Men Over Matter. The retreat, I just want to do more hiking. Go camping, with a bunch of blokes, eat some steak, like grouse. That's just what I want to do. But for me, it was the power of community I realized was so important for me. And I already knew that, but I really realized that when I went to one and we're doing breath work on the beach and connecting and having conversations, I was like, oh, that's what I was searching for on a Saturday night when I was out on the piss. And footy clubs, you have it in footy clubs and social circles in school. You've got your group of mates. That's your community. And I thought, I need to create that for men where we don't need to be going on a retreat. We don't need to be going. You don't need to be doing something. You're just present. Nice. You're just creating a relationship where we're chatting.
On a couch.
Yeah. Just having a conversation. Like my favorite pastime now is catching up with someone with coffee for a coffee. Yeah. It's just like something that tastes good. It feels good. But the chat is obviously that part. And Men Over Matter, we're doing the hike at East Point. We're doing something. That's because I'm trying to reduce that barrier to get guys to come. Because at the moment, people aren't happy to just go and do that. Or maybe they are, but they're scared. They're not safety to go, I don't know you that well. I'm not just going to go and tell you stuff and have a conversation at this level of depth because it's uncomfortable. But I do like exercising and I do like going out for walks. So it's something I'm doing. All right, I can like that bit of that. Then when you create that safe container, guys like, oh, they're all right. I can talk about, I want to stop porn, or I want to give up vaping or drinking, or I want to just have a chat with blokes. You don't have to be trying to get rid of it. There doesn't have to be an issue. Yep. You just want to be a part of something.
Nice.
So that's definitely what I'm trying to create. And that's, I think what you said there was perfect, was being reachable. Like, I get people in my DMs and I always give them the time of day and talk to them. Sometimes not replying straight away because I need to work on my own capacity and space. And I'll try to be as open with that as possible because I am everywhere. So trying to be present here at the same time is hard. But I have this conversation with the security guard at work all the time. He's an Indian guy. And we chat a lot about things we witness in society, what's going on and all of that. We're trying to solve all the world's problems while having a laugh at work.
Love it.
And because we're from different backgrounds and all this sort of thing. But all the time, if I'm behind the tellers, big population in Darwin is the Indigenous community, and they don't have, a lot of them don't have phones and cards and all these sorts of things that you use. You could just go to the teller and not have a human interaction. So they come to the teller and we have a chat. And I say, how you going? How's your day been? What are you up to after this? What are you doing? And a lot of them aren't doing much. They're just going to be where they are, doing what they're doing. He's like, oh, it's so funny that you asked them what they're doing later. Because he just, he's like, I know they're doing nothing. I'm like, I say that same sentence to everyone because what's the difference between them? I'm just being polite. He's like, what do you ask them what they're up to? I'm like, I'm being polite. It doesn't matter what they're up to. It's me showing interest in them as a person.
That's it.
What they say they're doing doesn't really matter unless it's like bad. Then it matters. Like maybe it's not that. Or if they got something awesome said, it's like, cool, I'll ask another question. But it's me treating everyone as equal as a person, like I said, being reachable and being willing to go, he's they look like this, I'm going to show what they're doing. And most of the time, yeah, they're right. But also people can think the same thing as me and looking at my tattoos. And a lot of them as well, I don't know what it is, but they must just throw out True Pup t-shirts. That's what I noticed. But I've got True Pup tattoos, so they're tattoo. We've now got some rapport, and we can have a conversation. And I love that. Yeah, I love being able to go, what are you up to this afternoon? There's I'd be making an assumption, but I think Indian got their garments and headdress and that sort of thing. I'm like, oh, what are you doing after this stage? Like, oh, I'm just going home. Oh, yeah, cool. And he came up and laughed. And he's like, oh, you asked her what she's doing later. I'm like, I'm not hitting on her. I'm just saying, like, what are you up to today? I'm showing interest and just trying to be kind. And I think that's something that we're all missing. Because if we're judging someone by their looks and then assuming what type of person they are, and we just, it might be basic by me to have the same sentence for everyone. But also puts everyone on a level playing field.
Yeah. You remind me so much of a story. I was on a plane flying to Melbourne. I had the whole row to myself. I'm like, how good is this? When you can just kick your feet up or do whatever you want. And then it was just around COVID had just finished, I think. And so it was just flying was just starting to come back again. And the air hostess walks this kid down the aisle. And I see it out the corner of my eye and I'm just going, no. And the kid's got a sick bag, he's shaking, he's sweating, and I'm like, no. Plonks the kid right next. Next hour of that trip down to Melbourne, I'm just looking out the window going, yeah, ruined my trip. Like, I'm just dirty. And blaming this kid, blaming the air hostess, having the worst flight ever. And then in my head, I just hear this little voice like, the balanced choice guy. You need to be about kindness. You need to be about this. And look at you. And I'm like, oh, come on, can't I be like this just for a minute? Like, just let me be pissed off that I don't have the rollers. And then I'm like, all right. So I just turn to the kid and I go, hey, mate, are you all right? Half-assed sort of question. He looks at me and he goes, I'm just really scared of flying. I went, my heart melted because I'm scared of flying too. And I go, but I'm scared of flying too. And like, I do this box breathing stuff and you want to do some breathing with me. And, and we just have this time together. And he tells me he plays with the Melbourne Storm junior squad and, he's flying down there, but he, hates planes. And then next thing you know, the plane lands and we got each other home.
Put each other home.
And what that will always teach me, and I talk about it, I tell that story so often because I don't want to ever be accused again of leaning out and labelling when I can lean in, because all that kid needed was someone a bit older than him who was as scared as him once, who actually worked out some stuff that might help him get home. Isn't that the job? Like, I'm 49. There's kids running around 13 who were scared of breathing. I was too when I was 13 because I didn't understand it. Then realised it's actually really important. I'm scared about being kidnapped, when I was a little kid. So I would build myself into this big man and realised that actually the real strength's inside. Oh, man, we just got to talk more.
Yeah. Just got to talk more. That's why I think it's important for guys like us to create the space for people to feel safe to talk. Because people do judge, and that's fine. That's the way the world's programmed.
Yeah.
But it's on us to change people's minds off the judgment. That's why whenever I walk past people, the smile, g'day, because they'll be making that assumption 30, 40, 50 meters. They're probably going, should I cross the path? Should I pretend to be on the phone? That person looks one way, and it doesn't help when you're distracted. So now, walking around in a singlet. No. Yeah, someone's making this assumption, and it's like, all right, let's show them what I want. Yeah, let's show them, and let's lean in. Yeah. And it's funny because you'll see someone walking at there. Yeah. How good is that? Yeah. And how good is that feeling when you get a good response? Yeah. And then also not being attached to the response, because you might get a negative one. Oh, yeah. And so that's why I love the Buddhism practice of non-attachment. Yeah. Because it's lead with light and don't attach yourself to the outcome. Yeah.
It's hard not to get affected, being offended, worried about what people think, but the more you can detach.
It's liberating. That's what freedom is. And that's the other part, and I'm sure you'll have it this year is your goal to ask for help and allow people to help you. For me is I had this, a moment of it pop up on Sunday with it. Because I had, leaning on people for support and helping on the track and going, and he hadn't replied to my message. And I'm like, here we go. He's going to no-show on me. And all those old things of, no, you can't rely on anyone. And then he turned up. Yeah. And I got to keep working on non-attachment. Whether he comes or he doesn't, it's going to be a great event regardless. And, if he doesn't, it's more opportunity for me to step up. I'm not being let down, and don't be attached to the thing. And he shows up anyway. So like all those things that I was attaching myself to, and the freedom in that would be letting go regardless. Yeah, I'm not being attached to the
100%.
Yeah,
working out in community, I've learned that in so many times. But I remember one time in Ali Karan community, I'd said a couple of young fellas had driven past in a car saying, "Are we doing our push-ups today in our gym? Are you going to set it up?" "Yeah." "What time, fellas?" 1:00. "All right, sweet as 1:00. I get to the courts, I've got the whole weight set up, the battle ropes, the whole bit. And then I'm like, 1:30, no. 2:00, no. 2:30. By 2:30, I'm starting to say to myself, that I might be. What did I say to someone? Did I offend someone? What's going on? Like, geez. And so all that doubt starts creeping in. By 3:00, I'm like, I've convinced myself the community hates me. And by 3:15, they all turn up. And so for 2 hours and 15 minutes, I'd allow my mind to create a story, which is such a load of crap. In that moment that they've all turned up, ready to go, all that's disappeared. Yeah. Why do we do that?
Yeah, it's funny that, because I think that now when I have those moments, but it's also a great reflection, like, all right, I know how I feel that now I never not show up for someone if I say something, and that's part of the integrity pieces. And that's why I'm such a giver, and my love language now is acts of service. Yeah. But that's because I know the feeling of not having that. So now I'm like, I never want to help someone feel the best. So I'm so outwardly expressing of that. And I'm like, all right, I said I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. I'll make whatever work to please everyone. So being a people pleaser is also something I've done. So now for today, I was like, I've got to leave footy because I'm doing something for me rather than trying to please everyone. It's like, no, I need to do what I said, but also like I'm putting myself first. I'm sorry, having all these realizations while I'm going off a tangent.
No, I love it, mate. It's just nice to have a chat on the couch.
Yeah, but now I've lost it. But it's funny, the thing I've lacked is I don't want to make anyone else feel that. That's also a part of like relationships, is times where I've gone wrong and I've caused hurt. I've seen the hurt on that other person, like, all right, great opportunity to learn, never let that happen again. Yeah. And that happened for me not having strong enough boundaries and values for myself. You go, all right, that's something you need to tighten up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Like if you don't think you're worthy, if there's no belief in you, it troubles the tongue. Yeah. I think I've only just realised how important the word belief is, because, belief, again, links closely to faith. People go straight away, belief, faith, spiritual, scary. No, belief. Like, really, believing in you, you know, that voice of just, I've got this, until you buy into it, keep saying it. That's huge. And I think as I get older, you know, you turn 50 next month and I go, I'm getting good at this. I'm really starting to buy into the belief in myself.
How do you work on self-belief?
Keep proving myself right. And the only thing that proves myself right is action. And so just keep going. There's so many people who will philosophize. They'll spend their life philosophizing, and that's important. We need the philosophers. But I'm really interested in the people who are just having a crack and doing it. Like, you know, I've only just started surfing the last few years. I'm still terrible, but I love it so much, and I froth. Like, I'm just smiling. I don't stop smiling when I'm in the water. And my brain is rewiring all the time because I'm learning something new. And I'm then comparing that balance feeling and being on a wave to emotions of life. And then it becomes the ropes of discipline. And like, it all links.
Mm.
The things that you're scared to do, that, geez, you got to have a crack at it. You better go and do it. As long as it's not, if it can hurt you or kill you. If it stretches you, that's cool. If it's uncomfortable, cool.
Yeah. I talk about that with all the junior kids I do one-on-one stuff with, and the junior girls I'm helping as well. It's reps in their gym, and that's how you build the belief and confidence. Because how can you say, I know this is going to work, if you have no background of it ever working?
Yeah.
But as soon as you start doing the reps and getting better, that belief builds. So I think action and reps helps. And being okay with failing, doing the hard stuff and going, cool, I failed. Next time, I was going to get 1% better. I said to a few kids, because for me, kicking techniques are super important. And I want kids to be able to use both sides of their body. As I say, it's cool if you're failing because your brain has never done that before.
Yep.
You're teaching a whole new skill set to a part of your body that's been wired to do something one way, and you're going, no, we're going to do this. So every time your brain's going to automatically go, and you're going to go, oh, we're doing this skill. So it's rewiring a pattern that's not there yet. You're creating a pattern. Yeah. So getting those reps in, and they go, oh, it's hard. I'm just going to go my right. It's like, well, you're never going to get better at that. So let's get these reps in and take time. And I tell kids, even last night we were training and they played tonight. We're not going to perfect kicking a ball in this 24 hours, but we can start.
Yeah.
And like, and if you need to stop and walk and work on it and do it, that's fine. That's what training's for. And we don't need to get better this week because that's not going to change the outcome of the whole year, but we can slowly chip away at it and get better.
Love it.
Yeah.
You reminded me when you were talking about that, I went, that's exactly what it is about belief. As in, going to the mirror and looking at yourself in the eyes and loving the person looking back at you is not natural. It's reps.
Yeah.
Of looking in that mirror and going, I love you. I'm getting proud of you. I'm good. You're following through the commitments. You are a good man. You are a good person. And when you start to buy into that, that's life-changing for people. But that's reps of convincing yourself that you are worthy, that you are good, that you are all those things. I remember the days I would look in that mirror and it was so, I couldn't even see 2 eyes. I'd see 4 and they were so red and bloodshot. And I was so sad and so disappointed that I'd done it again to myself. And it was the same smell of the plane flying back from Bali today and smelling that stale grog that I would smell when I would wake up all over me. And that's who I was. And that's who I believed I was. That's who I was always going to be. And then I had a few people. I remember one person said to me, you're only ever going to be the bloke with the blue bag and the bottles of wine in it. That's all you're ever going to be. Oh, I'm going to prove you wrong. You're only ever going to do 3 hours a week at Dondo. You're never going to get more than that. I'll prove you wrong. That fuel that you get from people doubting you, once you start to believe in you, that'll turn your business around.
I remember that called out of me. But I challenged what he shared, and it was an Andrew Tate. And he was talking about, and it wasn't negative to Andrew Tate, but it was basically saying he's fueled by proving doubters wrong.
Yeah.
And I just said like, and they can only get so far along those lines. I didn't start with that, but I was like, that's all well and good, but where is that coming? That energy is they own you. Because if that's the only thing getting you towards your goal,
Yeah.
that's their stuff. That's their energy. And once that's gone, what have you got? You're going to get there and go, all right, motivation now. But intrinsic motivation, positive motivation, that's going to keep you going. I said purpose. That's what will keep you moving forward.
Yeah.
And he's a single dad. He's got 3 kids. I'm like, that should be why you're wanting to get better and achieve all the goals that you want to achieve now. Because he's a plumber, but now he's started doing the spiritual work and inner work. He wants to help people with motivation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if the people who are doubting you and trying to pull you down and motivating you, once you prove them wrong, then what's going to keep you going forward? But if you're trying to be a better man for your kids and show them how being good is work, like that's going to keep you going, then you're boundless.
What's interesting about it though is we all get started on this journey in different ways. And so if that's all you've got at the start, just like the kids in Dondale loving me before I liked me, then they taught me to buy into the fact that I deserve love. Then I started to love me. Like there are going to be things that are flawed, but it's your starting point.
Yeah.
And then you're able to bump him into the next bit, and then he starts to trust himself because he tried to prove a few people wrong. Now, prove yourself wrong. Set something that you've been telling yourself for the last 20 years that you don't deserve and go out and make it yours.
Yeah.
Game changes.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're still wanting to, is there anything you can set forward to prove wrong?
Oh, I think there's the endless question of can you hold it together till the end? Can you keep going with your integrity, your values, your ropes of discipline, or are you going to collapse one day back to the person that you once were? And that's excellent fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't like to forget that guy who was under the tree just down the road here.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the fact that it's only a 2-minute walk from the house that I bought.
It's a great little reminder.
Yeah. And you're only a few steps away from going back there. It's that easy. And that's not who I am anymore. But on your weekdays, you might convince yourself you are that. But no, I'm not going there. And yeah, I like that guts, that fortitude that I've built, and that belief in myself that I'm not going to be that person anymore. We all fall and we can all collapse, but just keep it up, keep going.
I'm thinking about, the touching the stove thing.
Yeah.
You learn the lesson, but sometimes you still need to put your hand in. It's not hot enough. You don't need to touch it. But if that fire is warm enough to keep you going, all right, sometimes you go, all right, I'm not getting there. You can see it, the tree there. So that's as close as you need to get. Yeah, to keep you going.
Years ago when I was running a program in Tennant Creek, it was up at the Barclay Worktown, and I was working with the fellas. I was running the anchor program, and I was driving down there and stupidly took on the drive between Mataranka at 5 o'clock in the morning, which for any Territorian, exactly, you know it. 2 kangaroos at the same time. Bang, right off my highlights. Bang, folds up. Radiator's done. I make it into Larimer. Larimer's the one place I used to say, that's not the place you ever want to break down. There was no phone reception back then. The Pink Panther was the pub. The documentary hadn't been made, but all the stuff that had happened to Paddy going missing and whatnot, the body never being found, all that stuff, and you break down right there. So there I am sitting at the Pink Panther pub in Larimer, car's written off. I walk straight in. It's closed, sorry. When they open it, I ring my mum. So they let me use the phone. I ring my mum. Mum comes down to get me. But I'm sitting there and there's 2 fridges, one full of grog, one full of Coke. And I'm like, right now, I've written my car off. I can't go to work. How bad is this going to get? Maybe I just... I'll grab the Coke. I go, Mum drives me to Tennant Creek. I go run the workshop with the fellas. I'm sitting there. I say, fellas, you wouldn't believe what happened. I tell them, and they go, oh, Adam, those 2 kangaroos were sent for you. I said, what do you mean? I just wanted to check whether you're true to what you say. Wow. Yeah, I'm sure, mate.
Yeah, that's why I have a belief that there's something greater out there, because we always get given a test at the right time. Now, it might not feel like the right time. You might feel like somebody written off your car.
Totally.
And it, how good that it was that day that you could realize that lesson was for you. Because some people, it takes a year or 2 to look back and go, oh, that was definitely meant to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's great, like I think as long as you keep yourself aware and have the ability, there's two things I really love that I've been looking at lately. One's called the stoic pause. And I like to think as like, when you watch the Olympics and you see the divers, I'll stand up actually show it. So before the diver, geez, the old knees are a bit rough. So before the diver goes to do their dive, you can see it in their head. They're like, and there's that pause. And in that pause, they're weighing up everything that they're meant to do, everything they've trained for, so that they can absolutely know. Yeah, when we make decisions that we might have made in the past without taking the pause, we take the stoic pause, take the breath, and just go, and then make the dive exactly the way you're meant to make it instead of more belly flops going back to your past. I think that's cool. So the stoic pause, and then the other one is step back from yourself sometimes and watch yourself. Actually step back from the way you are being and just observe yourself for a while and go, is that really what I want to be? I think when you start to get that type of mastery of yourself, you start to head in a pretty cool direction.
Yeah, that's the work. Like we were talking about before, the way you see someone out self-acting, you don't even observe others as if they are you. Then you don't have to get to that moment before you figure it out. You can just watch it and go, all right, when that time comes, how would I do it? That's the stoic pauses. I have to take that name because again, with these kids, it's very easy to get frustrated because that stuff, I've been doing it for years. So now I'm just like, you just do it like this. Why do you not just watch me do it and then you recreate it? It doesn't translate for kids learning a new skill. So I tell them, take 4 seconds before you kick the ball.
Nice.
And if you need to say it out loud, say it, but run through how you need to do it and then make it happen. Yeah. Like visualize it, say it. All right, my hips are facing here, the laces of the ball facing there. I've got to point my toe and get the tilt on the ball and then do it. Yeah. So the stoic pause, instead of me having to say through the stoic pause, then kick.
Yeah, cool. It's cool. And they also talk about in the Stoics, the inner citadel, which is the place that you've got in your mind that is like your castle. And you put on that castle the guards who are going to help filter the negative things that come in so they don't reach you. They don't reach your castle. So who have you got on guard? What have you got on guard to make sure you're watching your thoughts so they don't reach in? Learning about the inner citadel and some of that stuff. There's another term that the Stoics talk about called prosoph, which I will totally stuff up what it is, but I do know it as being so present. And like when you're with someone, you are with them. You aren't looking at what's happening behind. You're not checking your phone. You are just in that. It's like when you're on a wave, you are in it 100%. Because if you're not in it, you're gone, And so how do we do that better too? Because we've become too distracted. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else we want to leave people? That camera's died. That must have been recent. That's just being present. I was like, I haven't checked my watch to see what time it is. And I've just been glancing. I trust that one of these is still going. But yeah, and we'll look to wrap it up then. Is there anything else you want to leave, talk about, mention?
I'll finish it with a story about a kid who just changed me forever on my 40th birthday, which is going on 10 years on February 19. So I remember going into Dondale, and I'd only been doing the program for 2 years on my 40th birthday. And I've been bringing quotes in as part of the program. And this kid, he was up in the high security unit at the time. It was old B block. He says, Adam, come here. And I said, what? Come here. Big boy too for I think he was 15 at the time, 15 or 16. Walks me over to the corner. I'm standing in the corner. He's sort of just standing there. And this kid who rarely puts his words together very well at all just starts to rap me every quote overboard him. Like every quote, he just starts to spin it and sing it with a confidence. And I sobbed. I'll never forget that because the gifts that people have waiting for you, if you become reachable, is so phenomenal. And usually the gifts and the things that you need to learn come from the people that you least expect have them for you. So for me, I'll never forget that moment. I will forever be thankful to that young man. And I hope he listens to this because he's made a difference to me forever. And 10 years later, I'm still talking about that moment. Okay. And mate, I just want to say give you massive credit. Thanks for allowing me to be part of this. But I'm so excited to see where you go with this in the next 10 years and to just see, born for beautiful things. You're doing great stuff with life. Thank you, bro.